Anna McGurn likes nothing better than digging her fingers into the rich dark clay that runs through the farmland of County Fermanagh here in Northern Ireland. You're hammering the life out of that clay, Anna.
Yeah, it needs a wee bit of work just to get it into a good plastic state. You know, this clay is come straight from this farm. It still has a bit of organics in it, so you want to kind of work them through that they're evenly distributed. And then you get it in this lovely shiny plastic form, ready for use. See the way it just sticks together in a sticky sort of ball.
You're a potter, self-taught potter, and you so enjoy this part of the process that you've taken your trading name as Muddy Fingers McGurn.
I have indeed, because these fingers of mine are always very, very muddy.
You're gathering this clay now on one of your neighbours' farms, Roger Corrigan. Roger, you're less enthusiastic about the clay, aren't you?
Yes, it's the bane of every farmer's life in County Fermanagh. It's very unforgiving. When it gets wet, it becomes absolutely impossible. You can't do anything in it, on it, or otherwise, so it is not a simple medium.
And I suppose with all the wet weather, that makes it even worse on a day like today when it's absolutely chucking it down.
I think we have had the wettest session of weather since records began. There hasn't been anything like the present time.
Despite now your different views of the clay, Roger and Anna, you've come together and you're working on an art and farm project. What does it involve?
It's known as the Farm Walk project, and it is really just a different way of sort of looking at life on a farm, biodiversity, conservation, the human aspect, the farming aspect. You know, it's about looking at how farming is done today to express that using art.
And you're going to do it through pottery?
And I'm doing it through pottery and through the clay that comes from this land. The first time I met Roger was here on the farm when they were doing an introduction, and he had a stick in his hand and he put that stick firmly on the ground. It went down like that, and it left me with this impression of this man so embedded in his land, and so he was so grounded in it, and that's why I really wanted to be part of Roger's farm.
And Roger, what did you make of it when you were approached to take part in the project?
I was aware that Anna had been on the Pottery Throwdown.
That was the television programme?
The television programme, yes. And I was aware that she had acquitted herself quite well.
So you thought Muddy Fingers you could work with her?
I'm nearly 82 years of age. If I'm going to do foolish things, I haven't an awful lot of time left. So I thought, what the heck? I took it as it came. I'm not quite sure where it'll end up.
We'll talk more about the project, but first I'd like to find out a wee bit more from Roger about the farm here. We've just stepped out of the barn, Roger. I can see it's fairly rough land, isn't it? A lot of rushes.
Yes, rushes are one of the... I think St. Patrick took the snakes with him.
And you wish
put them out. I wish the heck he'd have taken the rushes.
But it's a beautiful place to farm, isn't it? Even on a day like today when it's overcast and wet and windy.
Well, yes, it is beautiful. I don't see it, of course, because I'm here every day.
How many acres do you have?
Somewhere around 460 acres. It's quite big for this area, not big in Scotland or places like that, but it's quite big in this area. We are animal people. We are stockmen. There's 200 and something sheep, and there's 50 or 60 suckler cows that rear calves, and we'd keep them on to forward stores, as we call them, and then we sell them, and the beef men fatten them out and so on.
In recent years, Roger, there's been a real interest in farming in an environmentally friendly way.
Yes.
What do you make of it?
I would be very keen on it. I have witnessed the demise of the corncrake. I hope I don't witness the demise of the curlew. And these are all things that have been killed off by farming. I'm here on the edge of the lake, and if I'm not very careful, I have a runoff which goes to the lake. So I'm very conscious of that and very careful of that. We try and be mindful of the wildlife. I have plenty of badgers. They get blamed for TB and cattle, which is, I suppose, partly true, but very unfortunate. And I let them alone. I leave them alone.
Anna and Roger, we're out of that rain now. We're back in the farm kitchen here. Tell me just a wee bit more, describe a wee bit more about how you're working together to decide what pieces you're going to make to represent the story of this farm.
Roger has told me a lot of stories about the farm, and I've recorded those.
Stories that I heard from a grand aunt about fairies. We have dived into that quite deeply. She was the old archetypal person of that age and an era, dressed in black and had a lame leg, and she told me these stories about sometimes when the horse or horses would be brought in to do the day's work, they'd be covered in sweat and froth, and the manes would be tangled and knotted, and then the word would be, the fairies have been riding the horses during the night, and the horses would be tired and so on. And she was telling this to a boy of 7 or 8, 9 years old, and she told it as fact to me.
As you can see, there's a lot of stories, and they're so well told, and it just sort of sparks something, sort of my imagination too. So we put in the bulk of the stories into a ceramic book. And we have a ceramic book here. This is the prototype. The cover of the book is made with the clay of the land. And it is bound then, it's going to be bound in wire and string. And the internal pages are made of porcelain, and we are printing photographs, illustrations and the words. So it's basically telling the story of this farm and of this land. And then we've also got supportive sculptures on the way. Roger, for example, was telling me and showing me cutting through his land is the old coach road that ran from Ballyshannon to Dublin, a straight line.
A very important, one of the most important routes or roads in Northern Ireland. It's just out the back of the hill there.
I've made a little sculpture. I've put all the clay out sort of on a loosely formed slab and put a cartwheel track through it. And I've made a bonnet.
And why a bonnet?
It was to represent the people who left here in the famine times. And I suppose it was inspired by the orphan girls from Fermanagh and Tyrone and Donegal came down this road. And they were sent to Sydney. And in Sydney, after they were held in the holding house, they found all these bonnets. So this is sort of a representation of that. But then if you notice in this as well, rising up from the ground is a hand, just gently holding onto this bonnet. Quietly, something is holding onto this bonnet and taking care of it. It is holding onto the memory of that girl who went through there, that orphan girl. And that's kind of what I wanted to portray.
Strong, Anna. That's very, very strong. I had no idea. I had no idea that you had anything that poignant or that strong.
So this project is very much about the people who live here and the land and their stories.
You know, we talk about the land, we talk about the processes, we talk about the animals, we talk about diversity, but we never actually talk about the people who shape that land or who live on that land and who know that land better than anyone. And I think that's what I want this to bring it back to, the actual people.
And many of those people, they had a very hard life living here, didn't they?
They had a very hard life, and I mean some of the stories that are unimaginable.
Drudgery.
Yeah.
But the thing was, they didn't call it drudgery. It was just everyday life. Toil, sweat and hardship. was the order of the day.
Well, Roger, you've been telling Anna the stories, and Muddy Fingers here, she's been working away at the pieces. It's time for you now, isn't it, to make a piece and to do something that might figure in the exhibition? You're going to have a go. Anna's going to give you a lesson.
Yes, I'm going to just give Roger a piece of his own land, basically. So I've got a big lump of clay here, Roger. I'm going to just knead this. And the plan is you're going to imprint on this clay.
Right.
Now here's some foliage I picked earlier. You're going to make a tile out of this. That's it. Knead the clay first of all.
It's surprisingly childlike, doing that sort of thing, kneading it and making a mess, you know.
Give that a wee bit of a roll out, and then we're going to put some of these plants on.
My aunt used to bake, and my job was to take out the baking board.
Oh, really?
Which was a larger example of what we have here in front of us.
Anna, the work that you and Roger are doing, it's part of a wider project, isn't it? There are other farms involved.
It is. It's a cross-border project between Fermanagh and Leitrim, and there's 5 farms altogether, and each farmer is working with an artist. So everybody's got their own take on it. One farm's making a documentary, another farm's doing sort of a comic book, but they're very, very diverse projects. So Roger, see now you've got that nice and even.
That's not bad.
You create basically a little picture. And the next thing is just to, you can pull this out and it'll leave the imprint. And sometimes when it's a little bit hard to get out, you can leave it there, so when it goes in the kiln, it burns out anyway. But there's something very satisfying about peeling it away and seeing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and you can see the little stalks and the little grains.
And it leaves a very clear imprint of the plant.
You've got a tricky bit there, Roger.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
I would need a
You need-
scalpel. That's quite nice.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
And it creates this really beautiful.
Very pretty.
Yeah.
And what will you do with this now?
This will now be put in the kiln and fired. And I'll generally put a little copper wash or something over it, and that will sort of really enhance the texture. I wouldn't glaze it or anything like that. I just leave it in its pure form. And this clay, which is kind of a brownish colour at the moment, will fire up a beautiful, rich terracotta red.
That's just one of the qualities of this clay.
Absolutely, yeah. Most of the Fermanagh clays, even though they can be blue, brown, even yellow, but they tend to all fire red.
This tile then will be part of the exhibition that you and Roger will be putting together as part of the whole project.
Yes, it will be.
Pride of place.
Absolutely.
What do you think of that, Roger? You've just made a piece of your land.
Yeah, it's about the easiest bit of work with clay I've ever done.
Maybe you should join Anna, Muddy Fingers
Anna,
here, and become a potter.
Yeah, it'll be a lot simpler.
Farming Today was produced and presented by me, Kathleen Carraher.